Hey, hey, Blended Family Nation. Once again, we're back. It's Blended Family Nation talk, but this is the Parent Whisperer. Richard Ramos is with us today. I always like to say that, the Parent Whisperer, because the stuff that he whispers to me that I learn and you that you learn is very powerful. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Richard, and I ask all of you make a comment. Last week was Richard's birthday. He's still a young puppy, got miles to go before he rests, and serving the nation, the blended family nation, and USABFA is thankful that he's a part of this. So we're going to talk about some common questions today that you and a lot of people ask Richard from time to time. So here we go. Richard, first off, welcome. Great to see you again. You got a busy week.
Yes, sir. Got a busy week. Always happy to be here, Dan, with you and the USABFA family. It's great to know that there's parents out there hungry to learn, because we always need to be learning and growing, and hopefully we're helping with that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, yes, we are. And I love that word hungry. You know, Les Brown, the famous speaker, motivator, he always says, hungry, be hungry. So, Les, if you're watching this, here's a shout out to you. Appreciate you. Be hungry. We're hungry. So let's get at it. Let's get right into some questions here that we a lot commonly asked. So, a question that you probably run into from time to time is this for parents. Parents want to know what's kind of the one of the most underrated parenting skills that we all can use to transform behavior and the emotional well-being of our children. So what's a skill that's kind of underrated, maybe people don't think about or overlook to help our children with their emotions and behaviors?
Yeah, when I've been asked a lot of questions, get questions from different parents for different reasons, but that one I had to really think about that, because as parents, there's a lot of skills that we need. But the key to it was the underrated skill. And so I suggest that one of maybe not the, but one of the underrated skills, in my opinion, is just the skill of listening. Knowing how to really listen, how to really lean in, how to really be able to not be thinking about correcting, fixing, lecturing, responding, even, but just to really listen to whatever it is that our kids are telling us. And we know we're really listening when we can feed back to them what they said to us.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. That is true because it's a classic. I had a career in sales or just communication. In other words, when you repeat back, so what a person or a child in this case said, then they get it. And that you said a key word there: lean in. Lots of times, and it's best to sit down to get at the same eye level with the child, but to lean in so they think, "Wow, he's really leaning in and listening to what I'm saying." And that is a home run. That's underrated for parents in their listening skills.
Yeah, well, the thing about communication, you know this, Dan, it really is about respect. We see this all the time, and I've been guilty of it sometimes myself. Somebody's talking to me, it could be my wife, it could be whoever, and because the phone is right there and it goes off with a text or an email, and or even when it'll ring, sometimes I'll look, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm listening, go ahead, but no, I'm not listening. So with adults, we probably are more careful, but with kids it's like, oh, no big, I'm hearing you, son, go ahead, and we're that is very disrespectful to do that. And so it's easy to get distracted, or it's easy for us to, as I already said, your thing, especially if it's kind of a contentious or even an argument with your kid, with your son, daughter. You're thinking about, you know, how we want to respond, and that's not listening. So it really requires me to be able to almost repeat back, not verbatim maybe, but something like, let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, and then you tell them what
Yes.
you think
Yeah.
you heard them say.
I want to make sure I understand. Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And that's such a good point about the the cell phone thing. It's almost good to say, okay, I'm going to put my cell phone over here and turn my ringer off. Say that to your child. Say, how about when you do the same? We'll just spend, we'll just talk about this for whatever it takes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever you need, son, daughter, whatever their role, because they're really intentional. My son-in-law, one of the most powerful moments I ever said, he said, "I want to talk to you, Dan." And he said to me these words, I'll never forget this. He says, 2 months after they met, "I want to intentionally date your daughter." Man, that was like one of the most moving things. I said, I said, "Wow." I said, "Craig, you want to intentionally date?" And he said, "Yes, I have honorable." And I thought, I've never heard that before. And the word intentional is so powerful because it states that, hey, our intention is to have a good outcome, and in this case a good parent child, whether it's a bio or non-bio, step relationship, to intentionally do that. Oh, that's so good. That's
Yeah, it creates trust too. It
Yeah.
really is respectful, and that's what we want with our children. We want them to trust us in this case that, I can trust my dad with what I'm going to say. I can trust him with my words. I can trust him with my feelings because he's a good listener. He doesn't start lecturing me. He doesn't try to fix things. He just hears me out, asks follow-up questions sometimes. That's what we want in their mind before they come to us, is that trust.
Yeah. Yeah. That old saying, my my name is safe in your mouth, or whatever, that they feel like you're not going to say one thing and then behind their back say something else. The trust factor, that's really good. So that's a question number one. Wow, home run stuff there about how can we transform and make their well-being, their emotional well-being better, is the listening. Folks, if you're listening to this, it's Richard Ramos, the Parent Whisperer here. That's the name of this program. The Parent Whisperer is part of the Blended Family Nation series of talks to serve blended families, step families, and why people all across America are tuning in to this and joining USABFA, because we're trying to make America, at least when it comes to blended families, step families, and single parents, better. And I had somebody say to me that just joined. They said, blended families now have a home. BFA is the home for our family to go to. So, Richard, you're a huge part of that. I know you're a busy guy. You got such a great background. Your books, The Art of Stepparenting, folks, go to Richard. You see it on the screen here, richardraramos.com. He's got a podcast, richardraramos.com. Got the Great Parents on a Mission. Incredible value, what you're offering there, 16 sessions. Folks, you see that on the screen now. So check that out on his website. But let's go to our next question real quick. Um, how can what's the best way to talk to children about difficult topics like death or divorce or loss? Because in this world with kids, they may have a friend at school that they lost a friendship, some kind of a mistrust or betrayal, or worse yet, in this world where we have breaking news about death, or maybe somebody in their school. What's some of the best ways as a parent to talk to children about difficult subjects like that? Death, divorce, especially divorce, if they want to talk about that. What do you think?
Well, Dan, and unfortunately, I have experience in all of those things. Um, Unfortunately, the mother of my children passed away uh, many years ago now. But at that time, I have 5 children. We had 5 children. And at the time, my sons were 19 and 15, and my girls were 12, 10, and 8. So they were, still relatively young. She That was in 1994, and she passed away of breast cancer. So that was a very devastating time for us as a family, and you know, pretty hard stuff. But we have to address it, and I just found the best way to address it, of course, age appropriate, but to be very honest, straightforward, um, and not try to, you know, paint a rosy picture about a tragic loss like that. It was sad, and I just felt like it was okay for us to feel the sadness and the tears and all that went with that. Um, and answer questions. The main question, of course, was why, which I did not have an answer for. That was a huge test of our faith, and the question, why this, why that, and I, as of course, as a husband, was saying, why not me, instead of, they need her more than me. I felt like at that time, especially with three young girls. So, but I think in that, and the same thing with the divorce. I've been through a divorce, and they were a lot older at that point. But I think it's the same principle. I think kids appreciate when we don't try to dumb it down. Again, age appropriate. Obviously, I'm not going to share too much with a 8-year-old or even a teenager when it comes to divorce. The death is that's a different conversation. But in divorce, I think we have to be honest about it, not try to mince words or paint again, you know, this rosy picture, and like everything's going to be fine. Well, hopefully everything will be fine, but that at that moment, to me, that's not what the kids wanted to hear. I wanted them just to be reassured that they had nothing to do with it. I love them. I wanted to reassure them that my love for them was never going to change. So that's my experience. That's what I did. That was many years ago now, thank God. And all I can say is I have a wonderful relationship with my children and my blended family children.
Yeah. Wow. And that ties in with the first question in the listening. And you said, two things. They just want to know the listening part, but then you said they just want to know you're there. You're not, it's and a good friend of mine is an expert in grandparenting. Kerry Casey, he was a former chaplain of the Dallas Cowboys. He played college football. He spoke all across the nation, wrote a book on grandparenting. Kerry always says this, that lots of times kids or people just want to know, and he always just said it in the way he says it in his big booming voice, it's gonna be okay. Lots of times people just want to know it's gonna be okay. Maybe they just need a hug and it's gonna be okay. And to develop that kind of bond, as you're talking about, via the listening and talking straightforward, because these days what I've noticed with the youth of America is the old ways, some of the old ways of parents, talk doesn't necessarily fly anymore. They just want to be told straightforward and told the truth, and know that you're going to always um, tell them the truth.
Yeah, and
That's
another thing that we're doing is we're validating their feelings. That it's okay if you're angry, if you're confused, if you're sad, depressed, whatever the feeling is. I want to validate those feelings, because remember, with people, and I think it's even true with children, it's not always the change of life or change in a company. Things change. It's not so much the change that people, because we say, well, people don't like change. A lot of people don't like change. Well, obviously, in a loss like this, whether it's a death or a divorce, there's going to be a change. But what it's really about is what am I losing? That's really, I think, the fear. It's what am I losing, not so much how life's going to change. It's what am I losing, Dad? So, in death, of course, well, we lost mom, but we have each other, and validating all of those, trying to reassure those things, and be there for those things. In a divorce, again, well, hey, same thing. we have each other. This has nothing to do with you, and just validating their feelings because it's that loss that they're wondering, what am I going to lose? Are we moving? Am I going to lose my friends? Are we going to lose this house? Yeah. Those are the things I think that are important to really listen, let them ask questions, validate their feelings. There's no easy way about it, but that's the
Yeah.
best. That's my best suggestion.
Well, and you said it in the earlier, folks always go back and listen to the previous episodes, Richard, but you said something that's so true is that you said the children didn't choose this. They didn't choose for their mom and dad to get divorced. You said that, and that's just so true. They didn't choose this environment they're in. So how can we help them through what we're all going through, but especially for them because they didn't make the choice. The parents made a choice one way or the other, or something happened that in your case, sadly, with the loss of your wife and their mother, but kids didn't choose it. So that's good stuff. All right. So Richard, that's good, good, good things to ponder. So let me ask this about, we were talking about listening and being there, and it's going to be okay. And it all kind of ties into the culture that a parent's trying to create. So any tips on how can parents create a culture in their family of respect, mutual respect, and teamwork? So the culture of teamwork and
Yeah,
respect.
that's a big one, especially when you're blending families. That's one of the main keys in blending families is building that culture of trust. I mean, it's all about culture. It's the same thing in organizations. It's all about culture. The culture of the organization, it's the same in a family. The culture is the key. And part of the way we build that culture is building the teamwork and having meetings and listening to everybody say, okay, let's have a meeting, a family meeting. I would do this all the time. We're going to have a family meeting. A lot of times the younger kids or even teenagers, they don't want to do that. They're like, oh my God, now what do but you kind of have to just exercise authority and say, no, I'm not going to take a long time. Let's just sit down. And that meeting could be about a lot of things. It could be about a vacation. It could be about, an issue. It could be about you're going to announce something. Maybe you got a new job or there's a change coming. And
Yeah.
but you, you're giving them the sense that they can buy in. If you're announcing something, that's not the same thing as having a meeting to talk about something. Because if you're talking about it and you're planning it together, they have an opportunity to buy in and you're building that culture of, hey, we're all in this together. We're all going to take everybody's ideas. We're going to listen to everybody, and then we're going to come up with a plan. That's different than when you just announce something, and I've made that mistake. It doesn't go so well. So part of building family culture is allowing everybody to have a say. And it depends on what it is, because sometimes things are just kind of cut and dry. They've been decided by somebody else. For example, I lost my job. If I lost my job, I'm just going to announce that. That's different, but at least we can still talk about it. So again, part of building culture is allowing people to contribute to the plan so that they're bought in.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true. All across America in corporations, people go to work and they go, well, what's the culture? That's the new thing the last decade or so. What's the culture of your organization? We talk about family huddles with USABFA. And as part of a family huddle, hey, let's define our culture. Who are we as a family? Are we open in communication like you've been talking about? Do we have some boundaries? What are your boundaries? And it all ties into then mutual respect.
The other thing about culture is there has to be accountability. We have to have accountability. And the thing to emphasize with parents is we always want our children to be accountable to us, but the bigger step is that we show them that we are accountable to them. And when you show kids that you are accountable to them, that goes a long way in a lot of ways, loyalty, trust. But now we're talking about culture. So the culture is, if I make a mistake, if I don't do what I said I was going to do, I'm going to own up. I'm going to admit that. I'm going to apologize for that. And I'm going to be accountable to you. And keeping our word and being accountable to what we said we were going to do, that is also a big part of building family culture.
Wow. Wow. Folks, you're listening to the Parent Whisperer, Richard Ramos. And Richard, we're going to continue in the weeks ahead questions like this, why people will want to come back. Real quick, if you would, you've just launched your incredible Parents on a Mission program, and you've been working on that for years. Just launched it. Tell us real quick about that, and then we'll say goodbye to folks.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, Dan. Yeah, I put it online. That way, people who've never been to a Parent on a Mission class, we're trying to get it all over the nation. That's my goal, and it is in several parts of the country. But now people don't have to attend a class in their school or church or nonprofit or neighborhood. You can go online, you can enroll, and you can watch the videos. There's 16 videos. They're short, kind of like this podcast, and you can watch them at your own leisure. You can invite people to watch them with you, but you're going to learn a lot of principles. Next time, maybe I'll go over what those are, but those principles have proven time and time again. I've been doing this a long time, and we have seen the transformation of so many families, step families, blended families, nuclear families, and broken relationships healed. And family culture, as we just talked about, all of those things you're going to find and learn in those videos. So I invite you to go to richardrramos.com and you can learn all about it there.
Yep, folks, and you see that on the screen right now, a little bit about it. And Richard, as always, thank you. I know you got a busy week. You're traveling to speak. Folks, Richard's in demand across the country. We'll keep coming back with the Parent Whisperer program here as part of USABFA, Blended Family Nation programs. And as it's kind of I refer to this as one of my mentors in life, the late Zig Ziglar. He always said it's called a windshield university. So we keep these short so that drive time, you can listen to it. Don't watch it while you're driving, but listen to it and then go back and watch it the second time so it all sinks in. Richard, thank you. Always encouraging to be with you. And stay tuned, folks. We'll be back with you together soon. And remember, hope for blended families has found a home, and it's USABFA.